During a period, this contract subsists. Clear? कि जब भी कोई व्यक्ति कपटपूर्वक या गलती से यह प्रतिनिधित्व करता है कि वह इस अचल संपत्ति को अंतरण करने का अधिकार रखता है और ऐसी संपत्ति को प्रतिफल के साथ अंतरण भी कर देता है, तब ऐसे सभी अंतरण अंतर्ति की मर्जी पर होते हैं। ऐसे सभी अंतरण अंतर्ति की मर्जी पर होते हैं यदि ऐसी संपत्ति में इस अंतरणकर्ता को बाद में कोई हित प्राप्त हो जाए और अंतरण की संदा मौजूद रहे। अंतरण की संदा मौजूद रहे। See here, friends, A has not rescinded his contract. Contract which is substitute between S and A. At the time of the transfer, S was not authorized to make the transfer of all the properties. But he represents that he is authorized to transfer all the properties and he transferred the same for conciliation. Then I told you that all such transfers shall operate at the option of the transferee. Such transfers shall operate at the option of the transferee. At any time during which this transferor acquires interest in such property and the contract of transfer subsists. After the death of father, property devolves on S. Then as soon as the property devolves on S, A can exercise his option. A can exercise the option that now you have become the owner of the property and you have already transferred this property to me. Now I have the right of this property. I have the right of this property. He can do so. He can do so. But the later part of the example, which I discussed with you friends, that is that nothing in this section shall affect any right of a transferee who has taken this property for consideration in good faith and without notice of the earlier contract. Without notice of the earlier contract. Take the example of B. Here friends, B, that X is the owner, X property belongs to S. He was not knowing that this property has already been transferred to A. And he was not aware about the real fact. He was not aware about the real facts. If these conditions are fulfilled, the interest of B, that is subsequent transferee, will be protected. Because he is an innocent transferee. He is an innocent transferee. So the interest of B will be protected. Clear? So where a person fraudulently or erroneously represents, but representation is very important. He represents that he is authorized to transfer certain immovable property and professes to transfer the same for consideration. Then such transfer shall operate on any interest which this transferor may acquire in such property, provided that the contract of transfer subsists. Very simple. Very simple. And friends, as I told you, that this particular section is based on two principles. Whenever any question is asked, you will have to write principle also. That this particular section is based on two very important principles. One principle is the equity principle, another is feeding the estoppel by grant or estoppel by deed. So far as the first principle is concerned, that is equity principle is concerned, a person, if he makes a promise at the time which he cannot perform, or where a person promises more than that which he can perform, he must perform his promise if he acquires the capacity to perform it. And second principle was laid out in Fernando, that where a grantor grants certain land to the grantee of which he is not the owner. He did not possess at the time of the transfer. If he later on acquires interest in such property automatically goes to the grantor. Okay? So friends, there are three important principles or important ingredients in this particular section. One is that the transferor must represent. This representation may be fraudulent or erroneously, but he must represent that he is authorized to transfer the property. Consideration, this principle will not apply. This principle will apply when the property is transferred for consideration. Right? Third, that is the transferee will have to exercise his option. Transferee will have to exercise his option. Clear? Now explain all these three ingredients briefly. The important thing which I want to discuss with you is that there must be representation. That is, the transferor must represent that he is authorized to transfer this immovable property. And the representation must be such by which the transferee is misled. The representation must be such that the transferee is misled.